Hey everyone, Jared James here, and welcome to episode 63 of Jared James Today. I almost messed up and said today with Jared James because I've been doing so many podcasts. Sorry, it's been a month, guys. I am shooting this from home, as you can tell. That's a real background, not a Zoom background. And just because I haven't done these Jared James shows, I've still been doing a ton of content. I think we put up 20 or 30 podcasts on my Today with Jared James podcast, a ton of information and content on Instagram. Been doing a happy hour with Jared James and been interviewing the top CEOs of all the major brands in our industry. So that's been there. So make sure you guys go check that out. But I'm going to get back on schedule doing these now. I was hoping to be doing them from the office, but obviously that's not going to happen. So please excuse me if you hear a lawnmower or a weed whacker or whatever it is. But the information is still important. And that is, I'm going to talk to you right now about the 6 reasons this is not a housing crisis. And this is extremely important because when you talk about the 6 reasons it's not a housing crisis, there's so many people right now that think this is a housing crisis because they're seeing numbers go down and everything else. And this is completely different than anything we've ever experienced, okay? So if you hear something you like here, make sure you give this a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment below. Share this with someone you think that would benefit from it. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you happen to be watching this, and make sure you share it with your colleagues because it's important information, okay? So this information, by the way, comes from our friends over at Keeping Current Matters. If you don't subscribe to them, they're an amazing company that really gives you this kind of data, right? So the first 5 I'm going to talk about come directly from Keeping Current Matters, and then the 6th one is one I just wanted to share with you myself. If you want to give them a shot, they'll give you infographics and other stuff you can use with your sellers. Go to trykcm.com/Jared James. Again, trykcm, like Keeping Current Matters.com/Jared James. So the first reason, the first way that we know this isn't a housing crisis is if you look at appreciation, right? When you look at the 6 years leading up to the last housing crisis, we saw an average appreciation of anywhere between 6.5% and 12.5%. In the last 6 years leading up to right now, we haven't had 1 year that was 6.5%, which was the lowest level back then, right? And when things appreciate like that, they become unaffordable, okay? The second way that we know that is that our level of difficulty to secure a loan has gone way up. And believe it or not, that's actually a very good thing. During this time right now, it is 6 times more difficult to get a loan than it was in 2007, 2008, leading up to that crisis. And that's because they were giving them out to anybody, okay? And that's not a good thing because when you give out to anybody, it means that there's a higher chance that they're going to default. They were doing no-doc loans. They were doing these and now what they've done is they've gotten a little smarter about it. They've tightened up their belt and said, probably better if we give it to people who actually deserve it. And that's what's going on right now, right? The third reason this is not a housing crisis has to do with the number of homes that are for sale, okay? Right now what you see, or back when the last housing crisis happened, we had an oversupply of homes, okay? Right now we have what's called an undersupply of homes. And just to give you an idea of what that really means, generally speaking, when you have up to about 6 months of inventory, that's considered a seller's market. And when we say months of inventory, what it means is if not another home sold on the market, if not another home came on the market, and all that happened was the average numbers of homes that were selling right now continued to sell, you'd have 6 months worth. So if in your market 20 homes were selling a month, right, and no other homes came on, it would mean that there are 120 homes for sale, right? So if you're selling 20 a month, times 6 months, that's 120 homes. There's enough homes on the market to supply for 6 months. Anything 6 months and under is considered a seller's market. 6 to 7 months is neutral. 6 months and above, 7 months and above is considered a buyer's market, okay? We are in an oversupply buyer's market not right now. We were in an oversupply buyer's market back then, meaning that there were a ton of houses available and a ton of options to select from, and people could be picky and the whole thing. We are not in that situation now, okay? Now we're in a situation where there's not enough supply, okay? Which means there's high demand for those properties. Fourth reason. The fourth reason we are not in a housing crisis is because of the total amount of home equity that is used, okay? Now this is very important. In 2005, 2006, 2007, which led up to the last housing crisis, there was $824 billion used from home equity, meaning pulling equity out of a home, over leveraging them, right? When you look between 2017 and 2019, leading up to now, $232 billion of home equity was used, which is almost 4 times, almost a quarter of what was used back before the last housing crisis, okay? That's a good thing. And when you look at the next reason too, which is number 5, look at home equity overall, okay? When you look at home equity overall, back then, because we were over leveraged, everybody was getting them, a lot of people didn't have home equity, which leads to them just basically leaving their homes, right? A lot of times people were just turning in their keys saying, I'm done, this isn't worth it, I'm not gonna do it anymore. When you look at a situation like we have today, over half the homes in America have over 50% equity, meaning they're not just gonna walk away. It also puts them in a better financial position, right? 37% of homes, think about this guys, 37% of homes are owned free and clear. That's not something people are walking away from, right? And finally, number 6, the 6th reason this is not a housing crisis, and this is so important, guys. This is so important for you to understand. We did this intentionally, okay? What does that mean? It means that when you look at the economy right now, when you look at what's going on, when you look at this situation where everybody's at home and people are freaking out and businesses are, we manually hit pause. Meaning the government came in and said pause, and just like that happened, they're gonna manually hit play, okay? This wasn't something that came from the outside. This wasn't something where it's unavoidable. It wasn't over-leveraged homes. It wasn't too easy to get mortgages. It wasn't anything like that. It was very simply the idea that we hit pause, okay? And what's also very important to understand is that, in a housing crisis, whatever, the housing market did not lead us into this. Usually housing is a leading indicator. The housing market didn't lead us into this, but as sure as heck is probably going to be the reason that it leads us out of this, okay? And so it's important for all of you to understand, keep your head right now, be loaded with the facts, right? Be talking to your buyers and sellers, be telling yourself these facts, because in the end, there are a ton of differences between what's going on now and what was going on back in 2008, 2007, 2009. All the indicators were there. This, before we manually hit pause on the marketplace, manually hit pause on the economy, we had record springs going. We still have record low interest rates. And I'm telling you now, as sure as anything that I know, when they hit play, there is a surge coming. And some of you are going to be ready, and some of you are not going to be ready. But understand, this is not a housing crisis, okay? So guys, do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, hit like, leave a comment below, guys. Let me know what you're doing right now to prepare for the surge. Make sure you subscribe, share this with someone that you think it would be helpful for, especially your offices, your colleagues. They need to hear this information. It's more crucial now than ever, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one, guys.